guys? I am a happy camper today. I think happier or more relieved than I have been in a long time to do a podcast here. I was under the assumption for quite some time that Grier was going to be here eternal. And I had an impromptu interview with Al from 2 Yards Per Carry. And we talked about a lot of stuff. But at the very end, I just asked him, I said, okay, I think this guy's coming back, Grier. What do you think, Alf? And Alf gave an answer that I think everyone here is going to be excited about. And it's not just his. He doesn't have inside information, but he did such a Sherlock Holmes dissection for me in what you're going to see in the clip and then talking afterwards with Chris Kaufman and Simon Clancy. I've heard it from other people, Dudley Do-Wrong, a little bit from Omar, Poupart. It was all over the place. But honestly, guys, I coined the phrase hopium, and it's making its way around some circles, but that was me who started it. And I don't like to give false hope. I love real hope. But especially for my Dolphin fans who have been led down the path of fake hope for so long, I always try to hold it back. And what I'm saying here right now, I thought long and hard. I haven't answered any comments, really. I was just in a real holding pattern, trying to go over all the information I'm hearing from all these sources. And I have to say, I have talked about cognitive dissonance. And you get an emotional attachment to something and you kind of dismiss information. The addition of Champ Kelly and a bunch of other news information have been reported by some very good reporters. I kind of just shut it down. My heart was broken when I heard on a dive bar that Grier was never on a hot seat and he came back and I was like, forget it, man. But after talking to Alf, I'm going to give you the clip. It's the very end of the podcast. I'm going to do the interview, but I had to put this out. I had to do this podcast because I couldn't sleep last night. I was so happy. Now, football is football. There's real stuff going on. But when you got to cover them and you love them and you've got this albatross of Chris Greer, I've called him Fin Enemy number one since 2021. I've had to go fight the Greer's cooking. I'm sorry, Liam, all this stuff for years. And it was just such a weight, and it was pulled off. And I believe my spider sense, after using my brain and not my heart and going through a lot of different people's information, I think Grier is finally cooked. So I'm going to go over that small clip from the interview here so you can hear what Alf is saying. And then I'm going to go over some information, not all of it, because I don't know if Alf has revealed it or when he's going to reveal some of the stuff that he was talking about. It was some really astute stuff. Nothing, like I said, it's just good research that he has done. And among other people and pulling together, I'm feeling real good, guys. So I'm going to let you hear that, and then I'm going to get into some of the stuff here, what it means, okay? So enjoy this clip. It's a short one, and then I'll get back to you. Is this Grier's last year? I kind of am thinking maybe he's got 2 years. What do you think that this is a must-win for him? What happens if we do awesome? Is he back? And if we don't do
I think that the Dolphins went out and won the Super Bowl, I think Chris Greer would probably move on anyway. Okay.
Wow.
I think that this is his last season as general manager.
Oh, I like that talk.
And regardless of what happens, okay, I'm talking about they win the Super Bowl, they go undefeated. I think he rides off into the sunset and says, look, I did this, and I think he'll get that soft promotion upstairs. Who knows? He might end up in NFL front office very soon.
Oh, I
he's
like
kind of
that
tenured.
talk.
I think that
pound weight off my back.
I think bringing in Champ Kelly is kind of tells you everything you need to know. This is a guy that's going to be on a lot of radars this coming off season as far as general manager interviews. You still have Marvin Allen.
Sexy talk, Alf. Talk that sexy talk.
I think that they're and all you got to do is just look into Champ Kelly's background. He broke into the league under Mike Shanahan. Who else broke into the league under Mike Shanahan? Mike McDaniel. So I think that they've kind of made the decision. If you're following all the moves that have happened this offseason, Mike McDaniel is kind of getting his way a lot. So I think that the decision has already been made. And, not that I have any hard info on this, but,
No, I don't care. I just like
it
to talk.
it kind of makes a lot of sense when you start putting all the pieces together that, yeah, they're going to reorganize. They're going to reorganize the front office under Mike McDaniel this coming season, and that Mike McDaniel probably has favored nation status around here right
Ding
now.
dong, the witch is dead. The witch is dead. The witch is dead. I can just see that. I can see that. A Wizard of Oz, the whole dance session. Oh man, that is worth it, man. I think we could sail off into the horizon on that one. I don't know if it's true or not. I hope you are right, but that is some feel good stuff, brother. Really feel good stuff. I just even whatever. We just need a breath of fresh air. I need it.
What they need is new eyes, man. They need new eyes on this team.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. All right. So Alf and I agree with almost not everything, but a lot. We agree on so much stuff. I appreciate his football mind. The whole team over there, I think they do a phenomenal job. Among many guys like Reason, there's a lot of people I agree. But Alf is a guy that I've had really good relationship, good connection with. But we banged heads of the years on Grier, and he is not an anti-Grier guy, so it's not coming from a bias. He liked Grier in many regards, but he grew sour on him a little bit, and the information that he's giving should be Now, I'm not going to tell you that he's 100% gone, but when you lay it out and you kind of see some of the things that are happening, it all starts making sense. And I'm not here to tell you that whether it's Champ Kelly or Marvin Allen that's taken over Grier's spot, if that indeed does happen, he's going to lead us to the Super Bowl or there, Roseman 2.0. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is the booting, the goodbye, the soft see you later, whatever you want to call it, of Chris Greer is addition by subtraction that turns into multiplication. And just pulling him out is going to be a force multiply. It's going to be leverage. And the thing I said about the season, it's not about Super Bowl or it's about getting coherent and building the right foundation. And if this ends up being true, and it does feel that way, and I'm going to go to the information here, this is not hopium. It's legitimate hope. And I just felt this thing come over you. Have you ever heard there's a German understanding on how to arrive at a conclusion? It's called Gestalt. You just take the information. You don't, take the major idea and say, well, sky blue is a sky red, what's the information? You validate, invalidate, and at one point the piles rise up and you just get hit with this spark of like, it's true or it's false. And after this, and then listen to Alf and going through a lot of other people, I have arrived my Gestalt that Stephen Ross has made the move to McDaniel and he's prepping to say goodbye. However they say it, it is, you didn't do good enough, you're out of here. So Marvin Allen, we saw Reggie McKenzie leave, and a lot of people are saying it was because it's a sinking ship. And, there's a lot to that. I wasn't sure about that. But both Marvin Allen and Reggie McKenzie, they want to be GMs. And if this transition is happening, that means McKenzie understands that he's not getting his opportunity here. That Marvin Allen is getting the opportunity, and Champ Kelly is probably coming in here and being the assistant GM or somebody at the very, very top to work with Marvin Allen or vice versa. And so there's a real good chance that that's why he left. Now, Champ Kelly, what have I been saying for years? Football is a warrior sport. You need warriors that are pseudo warriors and pseudo businessmen to be a GM. It's the best thing for you. And both these guys played. Kelly was a wide receiver and DB in college, and Marvin Allen was a physical position of a running back. Both these guys are warriors, and they've become businessmen. They've become thinkers. They've become constructors of the team. This is what we need. Not passive aggressive, trying to prove that your smarts make you better than the Warriors that you always wanted to be, Chris Greer. But this is unbelievable if it comes true. Both directors of college scouts, Marvin Allen, assistant GM, Kelly was a GM for a period of time, interim GM, then he was a GM for a whole year. There is so much here, guys. Now, we have to understand, I've been saying for a long time, Chris Greer is a passive-aggressive guy, and no matter how you want to talk about, he gets along with everybody, it always ends in a bad situation. Flores, we'll start Gase. Gase is crazy. Everybody's like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Greer's a good guy. Flores, he's a tough guy. He's like dead bodies in basements. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. But then Fangio, well, he's just an old curmudgeon. That makes sense. But then you saw what happened last year with Weaver and McDaniel getting left out in a lurch in the interview last year. But both these guys are super nice guys. And so it's like the data points are complete that Chris Greer has problems with people when things don't go his way. There's a little more ego there than you might think. And this is what it appears, because Ross, from what I'm hearing and what you're seeing with the moves, Chris Greer, and there's other things that Alf is going to talk about, it really looks like that Grier is being pushed aside and McDaniel's taking over. And some people don't like McDaniel because, and all this other stuff. But it took a guy so nice and so liked in a lot of ways and so easygoing to have problems with Grier to highlight the whole thing along with the failures. And so Weaver and McDaniel, them being who they were, kind of was the final straw, is what it appears. Now, I was like, all right, they say full confidence, and that bothered me. Why is he coming back? But it makes sense that at the very end of the season, you realize we got to get rid of Grier, but you got a draft coming up real quick. You don't want to have turnover and this fluctuation. You didn't get Kelly till later in a critical draft like this, so you kind of keep things, if this is how it's playing out, you keep it together, you hand the powers over to other guys. It looks like things are staying stable. Once you get done with the draft, because you build all these reports over the years, you have all these guys involved in it, then you've got Marvin Allen and Champ Kelly coming in, and then they're going to move the guys out they don't want. They're going to change things, but then they have a whole year before the next draft, so it makes total sense. I didn't really even consider it because I was so emotionally vested. I apologize, because even if it's not true, I know I wasn't doing the best reporting for you guys. It just was such a sore spot. I love this team, and I can't stand Grier. It's so hard trying to sell lemons to people that you're part of a community with when you know it's a lemon. No, it's great, $1,000. Yeah, well, don't worry about that sound. Don't worry about the smoke. It's not really that bad. It was so difficult, and so I was way too invested emotionally. Now, Ross, he's made a lot of mistakes. It's clear. But he invests a ton. I know people that know him. They've done nice things. People didn't really know him. Something happened and he came in and did great things. But he's also had the history of things that we don't like. Whatever. For a man at his age to finally say no mas and not ride this thing out in comfort shows something strong. And it shows good leadership. Doesn't dismiss the past, whatever that was, but this is the right move, and it shows that Ross, in this late hour, maybe, just maybe, he is doing what needs to be done in the fourth quarter for his ownership and for this regime and for our sanity. Now, some people are, well, we got two, we're doomed. Guys, if you build right, look at San Fran there, Jimmy G. Went to the Super Bowl, lost, injuries, got rid of him. They sent a farm for Trey Lance. You're complaining about Tua? You know what was sent for Trey Lance? And they moved off him, and then they found Purdy. But they built right. They had the right framework. And a quarterback, some people tell you it's all the quarterback. No, it's not. Quarterback is the easiest thing to replace when everything is working. If you keep doing it the right way, you'll find. Look at Pittsburgh, how they went about it, and how they finally won. Look at all these teams out there. They just keep building. Look at the Eagles. They've gone through multiple quarterbacks, and then they finally built the right way. But if you build it the right way, they will come. So whether Tua stays healthy and does really good, it doesn't matter. And the good news is if you want to see Tua gone, Marvin Allen was the guy who saw the NFL cycle with Mahomes with the Chiefs, came in and built the draft board. This stuff that Alf was telling me, and I kind of knew, but it didn't sink in. He built the draft board for Josh Allen. So he's got a really good vision. Now, it helps because Champ Kelly, on the downside, he was with the Bears when they got Trubisky and moved up the farm, and he set the tables for, what's the gradations on the players. And he kind of was very wrong because you had Mahomes in that draft, I believe it was. But his weakness there is Marvin Allen's strength and working together. And that was a long time ago. So you've got a guy who knows quarterbacks. You've got guys who've played. You've got guys. Now, Marvin Allen worked with Grier with the Patriots. So he's been there a long time. He's seen this thing built, and he kind of knows what doesn't work. This looks like a very good pairing, however you want it. Whether Marvin, I would say Marvin Allen's probably going to be the GM because Champ Kelly coming in, Marvin Allen being, as long as he's been here, and older and more marinated to be the second fiddle to Kelly, it would seem like a little bit of a slight and you might end up losing him. So I think that they're setting up a structure of the master and the apprentice, and one day the apprentice will take over for the master maybe. So it would seem that way. Now, we didn't, people are saying we didn't structure the contracts to any obligations really till 26, except we moved Jackson there, which I wasn't happy with. But I was like, it's just, money or whatever. But it was me being more emotional. Because think about it. You've got all these free agents you're not going to be bound to. You get to see them, see if you want to keep them. And you got Hill leaving. He's gone. And so when you think about it, going into next offseason, if Grier is indeed gone, it puts both these guys in a phenomenal position to start their vision. And you only have one more season with Tua if you don't want him. But if he works out, then you can build around him. Or you could probably draft a quarterback this year, next year, and you have two assets. You build them both up, kind of like what happened with Mahomes and what was the other guy's name that was there before him? They traded him to Washington or whatever for some stuff. Because quarterbacks are an asset. So I'm expecting we get a quarterback in this draft in the fourth round, if this indeed is true, and maybe even draft another one next year, because that's what the good teams do. They keep building the team, keep drafting quarterbacks till they find the right one. And if they got more than one, they've got a power asset. Now, this resetting to coherency, things jive when you start doing that. And if you look, Champ Kelly was involved in drafting Larry Borum. He was involved in drafting James Daniels. They're both here. And so there is a thing. There's how much Bevel liked Zach Wilson and how much McDaniels liked Zach Wilson. They're moving into position to put pressure on Tua to stay healthy, to perform, but at least create more valuable assets in that position group and to build this thing the right way. McDaniels comes out of the West Coast system. Remember, Walsh said you do not stop drafting quarterbacks. You can never have too many. It's the West Coast concepts. And so it all kind of makes sense of this shift to McDaniel gaining power and Grier losing power. Yes, you've got your Eichenberg and your Carmen Jackson, but really there's so much evidence that's pointing at least to legitimate hope, not the hopium, that Grier is cooked. We'll see, but I really feel good, guys. And I'm going to ride this because until I see something different, my mind is telling me that this is the right thing. and my heart feels good, so I'm just going to ride it. It's off season. Hope. So I hope you enjoy this. I'm sorry for not being on point with this stuff because of my bitterness, my emotionalism, my frustrations. I will do better for you guys, but let's just pray this is the case. Curtis saying, be well. Go Fins. Grier, be gone. Be gone. Curtis out. Start building your own online sportsbook today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.